Okay, great. Hey, what's up, MSM? Last week, week
4.
Week 4! Last week of The Word Became Flesh, we're answering this question of who Jesus is. Guys, it's important. I know I say it every week, right? But the more we understand who Jesus is, the more we're going to rightly understand who we are,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be back in John 1, 19 through 28, and we're going to look at John the Baptist again. And just throw the truth out there. The truth we hope you get is that, like John the Baptist, we are able to know who we are not, because we know who Jesus is. So question to you guys in middle school, in MSM, right? Back in the day when it was just like 7th and 8th grade. How would you describe yourself? Like if someone were to ask like, who are you, right? If it's not Kevin or David, like what would you say?
Oh man, that's a good question.
I know.
I mean, for me, it was all about who I was friends with.
Okay.
Right? So who my friends were, that's who defined me. If I was friends with the cool crowd, in high school, it was whoever I was with at the moment, that was who answered the question, who am I?
That's good.
I'd say for me, it was all about performance, right? I defined who I was based on how I did in school, academics, how I was performing on the sports field or whatever.
How good you were on the chess team.
How good I was on the whatever nerdy sport thing I was doing. Totally.
You were on the football team, weren't you?
I was cool back then. I had a little bit of swagger. Yeah, I played football.
So you talked about friends. Mine was similar. I just cared. I wanted everybody to like me. What other people thought of me was super important, and that's how I defined myself. What other people thought.
Yeah, for me is I think I found a lot of my identity in I was a child of God, okay. And so I just really knew who He was.
Tell us more, Ethan.
So I'll get learned, guys. No, Brad, I was the same as you, dude. I was I rode the way that people liked me, right? People didn't like me. I was at the dumps. People loved me. I was high on the mountain. Okay. Yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna answer a couple questions. We're gonna answer again, if we're answering the question of who is Jesus, we need to know who we are not, who we are, and then we're gonna land with who is Jesus. We're gonna see that with John the Baptizer.
Okay, so let me dig right. I love this. Okay. And so verse 19, and this is the testimony of John the Baptizer, not John the writer of this gospel.
That's right.
When the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who are you? So they're asking the question, who are you?
Who are you?
He confessed and did not deny, I am not the Christ. And they asked him, what then? Are you Elijah? So they ask him, who are you? And he responds with, well, first of all, let me tell you who I'm not.
Yeah.
Now, in this moment, John had followers who were coming to him, who were getting baptized. Yeah. And here you have these important people from Jerusalem, the big city, asking, who are you? And I can't even imagine how John might have felt a temptation to go yeah, I am something.
I'm big time.
Right? I'm big time, right? And he goes, no. Forget about what you've heard. Forget about what you're seeing. I am not the Christ. I'm not the one you're looking for.
Yeah, and so I think it's important for us to understand who we are not. Yeah. Right? It's also important for us to understand who we are. And so he goes on. He answers in verse 22. He's asked again. So they're so they say to him, well then who are you? Right? We see who you're not. We need to give an answer to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself? And so he said, I'm the voice of the one crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah had said. So he's telling us a little bit of who he is, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. John knew who he was, and that's true of all of us. Disciples of Jesus should know who they are. So important to know who you are, because like you've been saying this whole time, we can't know who we are if we don't know who Jesus is first. Because if we don't know who we are, we may be trying to steal glory from God. We may be trying to put our identity where it doesn't belong. We may be trying to answer the question of who we are somewhere else besides God's truth of who he says we are. Now, and what's crazy about this is the more we understand who Jesus is, it's kind of this weird paradox of we may feel the more we realize his holiness, what incredible grace is shown to us through the gospel, we may start to feel unworthy. But really, that's actually kind of important for us to recognize is that we're not worthy, and that's what makes the gospel's so incredible, is that he saved us, unworthy people.
Yeah.
And he actually, we're only worthy because he calls us worthy.
Come on, Dan.
And
do it again.
he gives us our identity, and so we have to live into that.
Well, and I love that John was so sure of like, look, I'm not the Christ. I'm not Elijah. What I am is I'm here to point people to Jesus.
Yes.
And that gives me
Yes.
such a clarity about my life isn't about making much of myself and giving myself a following. It's about pointing people to Jesus, the real light, the real life of the world.
Well, and I love when you keep reading here, he does that. He hypes up Jesus. And the way he does that, as we start here in 25, it says they asked him, then why are you baptizing? Like, you say you're not the Christ, then if you're not Christ or Elijah, nor a prophet. And John answered, I baptize him with water, but among you stands one who you do not know, even who comes after me, the strap of whose sandal I am not worthy to untie. So he's hyping up Jesus, saying, you guys are saying like, hey, you've got a following and you're baptizing people and you're doing these great things. No, that's not it. You think I'm great? I am nothing. And this is not him trashing himself.
That's right.
He's literally lifting Jesus up, not putting himself down. He's saying, this guy who's coming, this guy that you guys don't know about, he's standing among you right now. He's so amazing. I couldn't even untie his sandals. See, back in the day, they would walk around in the streets with their sandals. They'd get really dirty. It was like animal stuff and dirt and all this. And you'd get to a house, and then slaves, like the lowest people in the house, would come and clean the feet of the people. And he's saying, I couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Like the lowest person in the house, I'm not that, because he's so high.
Yeah. I love you mentioned like being unworthy in grace, and you're talking about this right understanding. I feel like the more we understand who Jesus is, right, our unworthiness kind of rises with it. Like we understand the difference here, which heightens like the amazing, like the more we understand how unworthy we are, the greater grace is in our life. That we understand how amazing that is.
Come on.
And so we think that those are like separate, but it's like, again, that grace should draw us near because we know that separation and how far away we are. Guys, we have not really answered the question of who Jesus is to the fullest. We've hoped you've had some amazing discussion, but again, we hope that this just kickstart, that it's just a little spark in your heart. That's what we're praying for, that you really fall in love with, that you understand who Jesus is, so that we can all walk toward and become like him because he became like us. Guys, we love you guys. Hope that this has been so good for your heart. It's been good for ours. We've been having a blast hanging out. So have a great discussion, and we'll see you next week.
That's right.